To no one's surprise, really, Joey Badass's The Ruler's Back has been getting some attention and some responses. We've already seen a couple come through, and now we have a track from Daylyt titled HIYU. A lot of people may recognize Daylyt from the track Pie, which he did with Absol and J. Cole on J. Cole's Might Delete Later, but he really earned his stripes in battle rap. So this is definitely a track and response to look into, considering his main focus is lyrics, and Joey straight up said, if we're talking bar for bar, it's slim pickings. So let's get into it. So at the beginning of the track, it starts at the gate with,
Mama said be nice to him.
You could take as his mother really saying, yo, chill, but also could be taken as his mom saying, go style on him, like show him what you got. But it could also be a reference to LL Cool J's Mama Said Knock You Out, which could be the first of the many New York references. Shortly after that, I get what I'm assuming to be a Max B reference or mention with
Credit line to the max, we overstacking dough.
We also get that he's got credit, he's got people's respect, and he's just been stacking up his money over time. We continue the New York references with
Steez on my own, we came for capital.
Which shows love to Capital Steez, because it does show, the tattoo that he has of Capital Steez. And it's important to note here because him and Joey were obviously very close. And if we're taking this more literally, though, the Steez could be basically him showing off his watch or bracelet or something flashy that's on his arm, which could totally go into the capital bit if you want to use that as like a more money sort of reference. Daylyt continues on with
I stump on crowns, I wake up towns,
which could be in direct response to either the title, The Ruler's Back, and the line about Joey being the apparent king, with Daylyt essentially just disregarding him and saying that he's going to stomp him down. Like, he doesn't care. Like, Daylight's a whole nother beast, which we actually get into later. But it also could be in regards to Kendrick's Control verse, which we do also get a slight mention with
this rap, so who controlling me?
Don't know that that's too much of a reach, but regardless, I mean, Daylyt and Kendrick are cool, so we'll see. We also get some nice wordplay with,
you know my name, boy, I break up clouds, I clear smoke globally,
which kind of ties into the whole Daylyt bit. His name is Daylyt, and daylight kind of breaks through clouds, all that. And then he goes on to mention,
I'm from the era where the scary niggas sit back,
which could be a reference to Jay-Z's Where I'm From, but also in this case, era could be in relation to Pro Era, the collective that Joey is from. And then at the end of that, he shows respect, Daylyt shows respect to both coasts by saying,
my clock's at the western time, but I'm in Brooklyn with the best of the dimes.
Yeah, his time might be on Pacific time, like that's where he stays, that's where his watch is set to, but he's also on the East Coast. He's also out here there spending his time with the best of times. In the second verse, we start off with
chopped cheese, fresh butters, LA hat and Soho with my brother Soul, told me it's another road.
Here he's continuing to show love to both coasts by mentioning two mainstays of New York, chopped cheese and fresh butters, Tim's. But we also get the LA hat and Absol. Showing both of them together is kind of interesting. Like, he's showing like, hey, I could be on the West Coast, I can be from the West Coast, but I still show love and appreciation to the East Coast. The mention of Absol here it does kind of go into that as well, because if I remember correctly, I mean, I wasn't able to find anything concrete on it, but I do believe that Absol spent a decent amount of time on obviously the West Coast, but also in New York, but totally could go wrong. But also talking about how Absol and Joey are pretty close, or they're cool with each other. And that was something that got brought up a lot in conversations about Joey's track. Like, oh, well, him and Soul are close. Like, what's going on? That's kind of weird. He continues to show love with,
you gotta go east to tackle the beast,
which is kind of an indication of the East Coast is where the lyricists are at. That's always considered the mecca of hip hop. That's like everyone has to go there at some point, and that's where all the best rappers are. But then he flips it and says,
I went east to actually feast.
So even though, yeah, there's a bunch of dope rappers out there, he went over there, I mean, presumably to rap against them, and just ended up eating them up. Like he just beat them in a battle, or he turned himself into a beast himself. He then goes on to tackle some general comments in regards to battle rappers and his career with so it's kind of just there's this general thought of battle rap where they're like, oh, battle rappers can't make songs, they can't do anything other than just rap, which we've seen a handful of times to be proven wrong, like with Daylyt, with Passwords, Sue Surf, a couple of battle rappers out there that actually do put out really good albums, but there's always that kind of thought that they can't actually rap that good or make a song. But then he goes on to say, I bought my first mansion with a battle check. Like, yeah, battle rap pays the bills for a lot of these people. Like, it's significant. And Daylyt is at a point in his career where he can kind of command that sort of attention and get that money. But yeah, and then he goes on to say, I'm not the average, presumably Joe. In this case, probably just talking about Joey Badass again. To really cement that this track is about Joey, we get these lines towards the end of this verse.
To my niggas out in Harlem, thanks for all that you done. To them niggas over the bridge, we tell them don't be dumb.
So Daylyt is showing love to Harlem, and almost throughout this track, he is kind of showing love to New York. But here he's specifically showing love to Harlem and A$AP Rocky with the "Don't be dumb" line, because that's supposed to be A$AP Rocky's next album. But he makes it very clear that those over the bridge, in this case over in Brooklyn, are looking a little foolish. Joey's from Brooklyn. That's where we're going with that. In the last verse, things get a little bit deeper, starting with he's saying that y'all had years to show that you're the best, and you still haven't reached the level of the people that you consider to be your peers. And then he flashes images of J. Cole, Kendrick, and Drake. Joey is younger than all of them, but he did kind of come up around the same time as them, so a lot of them would consider them to be in the same class. And when compared to the three of them, he hasn't really had as much success in terms of music, at least. And then Daylyt goes on to talk about his career again a little bit. We're talking about how like album sales and not following trends, but he ends the track with he touches back on being from the West Coast, but also playing off his name with the sunshine bit. But he also says, I hope you hear me, because if you don't, you're going to get killed off of something that you started. Like, you're the one who started this. You're the one instigating everything. Like, you understand that, no, I can rap better than you, essentially. And this is his light response. You better understand that if he keeps going, he'll wrap circles around you. And then we cool, but the feeling is still eerie. Another callback to New York and Lake Erie. But another notable thing here is that major city that's touching Lake Erie in New York, Buffalo, which, Griselda's from Buffalo, and it almost sounds like he's shouting them out or shouting out Buffalo as a whole, more so than Brooklyn. He's like, these guys over at Griselda, they're the ones that's been carrying the torch for a while. Everyone's been talking about them as far as music. I mean, we got a little bit of drill in there too, but you go to New York, that's kind of the sound there, or at least that's what's coming out of it. And then he ends with the "Be Humble" bit, which, to no surprise, is from Kendrick's track "Humble." All in all, it was a pretty solid track with a lot of wordplay, and overall, it felt like a good response. He doesn't go too crazy into it, but this really does feel like more of a warning than anything else. But I do like where things are kind of going. Like, it's interesting. It's fun. People are rapping again and not just trying to diss each other for the sake of dissing each other. Even when getting this video ready, I saw that Ray Vaughn just put out a track too. So people want to rap. People want to get outside and do this again. And I'm excited for it. I do wish that this track, though, was a little bit more focused, since it does kind of bounce between him responding and talking about battle rap, but overall, still solid. But that's all I've got for now. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this track if you've listened to it. If you haven't, definitely go check it out. It's pretty good. And while you're down there, like and subscribe to see more rambling and content like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.